Okay, next. Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas. They didn't last. Who could have seen that coming? Oh, yeah. Just like everybody, basically, right? Look, I'm just going to say this. Joe Jonas was punching above his weight, and I'm not the only person who realized this. And I understand that we're not supposed to, in this newly enlightened society, we're not supposed to judge people based on their looks, except that everybody does it. You know, ask all the people who are constantly making jokes about my nose. And Joe Jonas, I understand he was a big star, music star of the Jonas Brothers and everything, but he was never the hot Jonas. If any of them, Nick is the hot Jonas. And Joe, I think he just was punching a bit too far above his weight there with Sophie Turner. And look, people talk about the age difference thing a lot in terms of grooming, and oh my God, you know, he's taking advantage of her or whatever. I wish that there would be less of that talk and more just practical talk about the very real problems that age difference can bring into a relationship, and not just age difference, but two people being in two different places in their lives. So look, what's coming out with the PR right now, and I don't know who's leaking all this stuff. I don't know if it's actually Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner who are shooting back and forth, or if it's just friends of theirs who are trying to get some tabloid money or some clout or 15 minutes in the sun or whatever, sharing shit they shouldn't be sharing. But basically the narrative that has emerged is, like, from Joe's camp, I guess, is that Sophie Turner was this borderline negligent mother who had these two kids and then just wanted to run off to England and party while he has to be Mr. Mom. Now, do I believe that narrative? I don't know what narrative to believe. I would say it's probably extreme. The narrative coming from her side, and maybe even incorrect, totally incorrect, right? The narrative coming from her side is that she was pressured into taking things too fast. She wasn't ready for marriage. She wasn't ready to have kids. She didn't even have an adolescence or a childhood because she was an actress, and she joined Game of Thrones when she was still in her early teens, and then she grew up on that show, and basically she's just not been allowed to be your average adolescent and 20-something. Right. And he apparently her camp is saying was pressuring her into stuff, and she wasn't allowed to grow up. To which I would say to both of these parties, it was evident from the beginning what you were getting into with each other. It was evident. Sophie Turner, for as long as I've been hearing about her, has been a big partier. I remember there were these pictures taken of her in a cab in London. And there were tabloid pictures, and the picture, and then there was this big heading, and it used a word that I had never heard before. I've never heard this word before. Some of you Brits will have to tell me if this is a common word in Britain. But they used this term. It said, Sophie Turner caught on camera gurning. 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 Gurney, that's fine, Maud. You want to talk about trolls, but you deserve it for being a narcissist. Well, but see, here's the thing, Maud. If I'm really a narcissist, and I'm sorry, I don't have time to I'm on my phone. I don't have time to highlight people's comments. So I'm sorry, I'm just responding to them. Here's the thing, Maud. If I am really a narcissist, then I love attention, whether it's positive or negative. So the trolls are actually just feeding me. So, you know, if you're dealing with a narcissist, there's like no way to win because they feed off the good and the bad energy. So if that's really me, Maud, then you are up a fucking creek because you can't really get to me with your comments. Now, if I'm not a narcissist, then you can get to me. But then if I'm not a narcissist, then you're wrong. You're in a bind, Maud. You're in a bind. A philosophical conundrum. Can your small mind deal with it? Anyway, and what the fuck are my mods doing letting a comment like that get in there? I'm about to go all Jimmy Fallon on you mods. All right, Jimmy Fallon, Lizzo, and Ellen DeGeneres wrapped into one. That is the kind of boss that I am over here, people. Okay, but I digress. I was just joking, mods. Okay, so anyway, these two people should have known. So gurning, what is gurning? But anyway, it was Gurning, but it had a picture of Sophie Turner, and her mouth was open, and then her eyes. It's kind of an obscene, probably an obscene look. But anyway, her mouth was open, and her eyes were like rolled back, and that is apparently what gurning is. No, I looked it up. It was something like moving your face spasmodically, or your teeth. Like maybe when people are on like ecstasy, or they're taking too much Adderall and they're doing the jaw thing. I don't know. Anyway, but my point is, she was a big partier. And Jonas, I would also say to you, Joe, that every time Sophie Turner opens her mouth in an interview, she talks about her mental health problems. This is all that I know about the girl. I actually am bored to tears with this woman, always have been. I don't even think, honestly, she's that pretty, but I still think she's like way above Joe Jonas. But every interview I've seen with her, she's talking about her mental health problems. And she's like, and I remember before she and Joe got married, when they were just engaged, and she was talking in an interview about how they'd come to a real crisis because of her mental health, and I've got to go back to England for my mental health. And like every interview, she's just saying recently, I've got to go back to England for my mental health. And look, there's nothing wrong with being vocal about your mental health. I talk about depression at times here, but like when it's coming up in every interview, and it seems to be an integral part of how you see yourself, is the struggle with your mental health. Like, it's just probably not a good sign if someone is wanting to shoot out a bunch of kids with you, basically. And that seemed to be the thing with Joe Jonas, is that he was older. He had already toured a lot. He had, forever been doing the tour party thing. Of course, the Jonas Brothers, they were like sort of conservative, weren't they? One of them saved himself for marriage. But anyway, the point is, like, he had already lived all that out. And so I'm sure that both parties, I'm sure that Sophie and Joe, I'm sure that they were very, very well aware going into this what the other was like. It's just like a lot of people, when you're in love, you just say, oh, well, I'm in love, screw it. There are really famous maxims and quotes about this, how sensibility and logic go out the window when people feel that magic phenomenon. So I think that's basically what happened here. Now, I am curious about this mysterious behavior on the Ring that was captured on the Ring camera. And this could be BS, but there are reports, I guess, coming out of Joe's camp that the last straw for him had been seeing her doing something inappropriate on the Ring camera. So what is on the Ring camera? I don't know. But I do like the movie The Ring with the girl who comes out of the TV. Anyway, okay, so that's what I have to say about Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas. So I'm not really on a team there. I'm on team, you shouldn't have gotten married. You knew who the other person was. Or I'm on team, Joe Jonas was punching up and should have known there would have been problems. All right. I'd do a t-shirt instead of like Team Jonas or Team Joe. It'd be like, Joe was punching. He was punching above his weight.